Welcome back, guys. This is the Sideboard podcast. Checking in is your host, Caleb Williamson.
And this is Tim. How's it going?
What's going on, Tim?
Not too much. Just coming off of a pretty good weekend. What about you?
Not bad. Busy with school and work and, just getting back in the grind.
Yep, stuff's starting back up for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, though. A lot of stuff's, being forced online now, though.
Yeah, it's a change, but overall it's fine with me as long as, I still get to do everyday things, even if I have different parameters to do them by.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I heard you played in some tournaments this weekend, or at least one decent one.
Yeah, so yesterday we had our local shop championship for set 10. Our local store decided to do regular constructed instead of just the set 10 block constructed.
Okay, cool.
That was kind of like a community decision locally for us.
Yeah, because, it's online, so,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
But yeah, it was a good day.
Nice.
I had to wait a little bit for Marcus, my round one opponent, to show up online, which is kind of funny.
It's all good, though. I sometimes find myself being late on online tournaments just because, had to go to the bathroom or something,
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, just a few minutes.
It is ironic, though.
Yeah, it was funny. I messaged him. We had a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah. So you had to play Marcus. How'd that game go?
It was kind of awkward. He won the die roll. He was playing Zamasu, and I was on a Reboot Gohan AOD list.
Mm-hmm.
And so he won the die roll, which I already knew meant he was favored in the matchup.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, definitely, especially for two hyper aggro decks.
Right.
But I knew if I was going to win, I had to do it on turn 2, and I had to draw perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I was one battle card off of winning.
Mm-hmm.
He got some crazy turn 2 awaken without Unison, and then put me down to 3, which was awkward because I usually want to go to 3 on my own terms. So my turn, I charged. I already had my Babidi in play. I think I played a Garlic Jr. to play out an Android 13. So I was trying to make sure that if I drew into my secret that turn, I could successor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're playing Cell.
Yeah, I was playing Cell Xeno.
Nice.
And so I was trying to make sure I had enough successor fodder on board in case I drew into it, because Reboot Gohan draws a lot of cards on its awakening turn.
Yeah.
And that was really my main reason for choosing that leader over the Babidi leader, was because the Babidi leader, you only search top 5 for agents. You don't get to actually draw cards.
Yeah, I feel like if you're playing that leader, then you should probably play the other SCR. The
Boo?
Yeah.
Yes, except you still can't search it.
Right, but it's
but it does give you sort of
a little less
inevitability.
Planning. Yeah, a little less planning. You don't have to build up your board as much. Whereas Cell, you need to build up your board and draw it at the right turn.
Yeah, so I got the 1 mana Garlic into an Android, swung with leader, went to 2 life, restood, awakened, crit the life for +10 and triple, went Feet Bean, had a pretty big attack on it. He took that one, and then he Zamasu'd my leader on that attack also. So if I was going to kill him, I had to suicide that turn.
Okay.
So he Zamasu'd my leader and took the damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, because now you have 2 attacks instead of 3.
Yeah. And it meant if I attacked with my leader, I was suiciding.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't all bad. I had a Bardock Overrealm set up with a Beerus and all that. So I was able to draw cards and kind of dig through my deck quite a bit. But I just wasn't. It came down to I needed to draw a Garlic Jr. or a Belmod. Just some free battle card,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
All the agents I ended up drawing were Android 13s or Turles. I was like, that's only one attack. I need two.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't draw into a Bell mod. So Marcus ended up getting the game just because I had to suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew he had a negate. I had to force it out of his hand.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting story because, I mean, it shows the relevance of the balance and how Bandai balanced aggro in this game. Because, like, if you go back to Storm format, right, it was a similar game plan where, like, you aggroed them down, not like with the triple strike and stuff, just more mass attacks. But the difference was that in Storm, almost every tag or every other tag, you were effectively scrying the top three and choosing which card you wanted to keep. And so that made it incredibly consistent. And so you, by turn 2, turn 3, you effectively saw your entire deck. And
yeah, so this game ended on turn 2, and I was down to like 21, 22 cards in deck, and Marcus had 29 or 30.
Right.
So I dug quite a bit more than he did in 2 turns.
Yeah, but you weren't able to look at the top 3.
Correct.
And choose which card you wanted. So it increases the variance in your games of like turn 2 kill versus not turn 2 kill, maybe turn 3 kill, or go to plan B with the agents, that sort of stuff. I think it's a good way to balance it. You know,
yeah,
just
definitely.
Decrease the consistency.
And I think it's kind of funny you brought that up because that might be why they slapped unique onto Turles to make sure you couldn't, scry 5 on multiple attacks per turn.
Yeah. I could see that. That's a pretty safe assumption, I would say.
Because that would be busted.
Isn't he a 2 cost? So he'd be he is a 1 cost in
he's
the deck?
he's a 1-drop in the deck when Boboty's out.
And he's a 15k or 10k?
Yeah, they're all 15ks. The 2 drops are all 15ks. The 3 drops are 20.
Jeez. Yeah, that's good return on your investment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that game we were done in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, aggro deck. I mean, Gohan games for me as well have been like super fast. Basically, like they have to take their life in order to do their game plan. So if you just don't die and then maintain like some sort of a board, usually like 2 battle cards plus your leader is good enough. You can usually kill them because they go down to like 2 life.
Yeah.
And so
the few days before the tournament, I had goldfished a lot of hands up to like turn 3. I think the first night I put the deck together, I think I goldfished like 60 to 70 games up to turn 3, and most of them I ended up going down to 1 life, so I got maximum value.
Draw.
Yeah, see as many cards as I possibly can. So I knew going into it that turn 3 is the optimal turn. But against Zamasu, I knew that I had to go for it on turn 2 or I just wasn't going to get there.
Yeah, because they stabilize. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you ended up finishing top 4?
Yeah, I ended up going 2-1, finishing 3rd place.
Okay, nice.
My second round was Sin Shenron. And I don't know why, but my opponent decided not to Nimbus me when I started attacking with the first couple battle cards.
Did he have the Nimbus?
Yeah, he said he had it the whole turn.
Oh, but he just didn't
which was kind of strange, yeah. So it was a turn 3, but it was also really awkward because I didn't have a Bobbity out until turn 3. Yeah, I ended up magically drawing into a Hachiyak, and I was like, thank God.
That's funny.
It was rough, but I pieced it together.
Yeah.
It was crazy because I ended up on that turn triple Garlic Junioring into 3 androids also. Jeez. So I had perfect successor without using like Beerus or Belmont or anything like that. I think we looked at it afterwards, and I had played like 14 battle cards that turn.
Jeez. That's insane.
And the only one that didn't attack was the Bobbity because I comboed it off.
That's so funny.
It was nuts. That was a crazy turn.
Yeah.
Like, he released from Eviled my leader on the second attack. I was like, all right, it's still a 30k single.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I can't suicide for triple strike now, so
Right.
let's spin the wheel and see how far we can go. And we saw it all.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes people hesitate in like mono yellow decks when they are trying to Nimbus, and it's like they don't do it on the first swing because they don't want to discard a card, or like, oh, it's only turn 2, they're not going to kill me. But honestly, like from playing Sin Shenron, because I play that deck primarily right now, from playing it for the past couple of weeks, it's like I don't really care if I Nimbus you 3 turns in a row as long as I get to turn 6.
Yeah, you kind of need it in the early turns to make sure you get to the later turns.
Right, especially if I don't have my blockers out. I really need it to survive, and cards being in the drop once you hit turn 6 is not a big deal. They're effectively just in your hand because you can just play them from your drop, and so Nimbusing I feel like doesn't really matter too much, but I guess sometimes that just comes with experience.
Yeah, I think part of it was normally Nimbus doesn't affect Reboot Gohan.
Right.
And my only battle card in play before my attack was a Bobbity.
Yeah.
But that, I feel like that should have been enough of an indicator of what I was trying to do, that he should have just Nimbused right away.
Right. Right.
But, learning experience for that opponent.
Yeah.
If you see a Bobbity, you just Nimbus them.
Right.
And then round 3, I played the mirror match, but it was against the Bobbity leader.
Oh, okay.
And
so the tempo version rather than the aggro
version.
Yeah.
It went to my turn 3, his turn 2, and I prematurely Belmonted with nothing on board just for an extra attack, and then he negated with Garlic Jr., and I was like, oh my god. If I had just waited another second. But I ended up getting the win that turn because he had 2 unisons in hand. I knew he at least had 1 going into turn 3, because you always do. Luckily, he had 2 in hand, which meant that my 25k attack was enough to kill him, because he could only match it.
Yeah.
Because I was, like we do a lot when we test doing combo math.
Yeah.
I was doing that from my first attack that turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was an article written recently about that on Joey's Patreon, talking about combo math and how just optimizing the investment versus the return on how many cards you put in versus how much you'll, take from your opponent's hand.
Yeah, and I think something that's kind of interesting to add on to that normally isn't included is also doing the math of how many attacks you'll have.
Right.
Because normally it's just, doing the math of my hand versus your hand and, seeing how many super combos you and I have both gone through. But we normally don't take into consideration how many more times am I going to attack this turn.
Right. I call it jabbing. Sometimes when you have like a decently established board, say like 315Ks and your leader, you kind of want to test the waters on what they're planning on doing for defense by swinging a couple of times before you start investing resources.
Yeah, so all of my attacks that turn, until I started playing things from my hand, were just base power. It was just base 15s.
Yeah.
I didn't combo into them. I tried to get down to us having closer to the same hand size, because he had, I think, like 12 or 13 cards in hand, and I had like 9 starting that turn. But then again, Gohan draws a lot, so I was able to kind of keep parity with him, but he also got a lot of value off of his Garlic Jr. negates.
Right.
Just basically negate an attack and have 10k power to combo, or 15k if he gets a slug.
Right.
Which he also saw all 4 of them by turn 2, which was kind of crazy. 3 of them were from hand.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. That was kind of wild.
Nice. But overall, a pretty good experience for the weekend?
Oh, yeah. Everything ran pretty smooth. There was one judge call that ended up getting taken care of pretty quickly. We didn't have an actual, judge on duty for the event. So a couple of us stepped in, answered the question pretty quickly, and we were able to continue on without any hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, really well ran event.
Right.
I think everyone was happy. Even the players who didn't place, I know some of them were not as competitively experienced as some of us, and I feel like they learned a lot.
Yeah.
As well as, us more experienced players also learned some things.
Right. It was kind of that limbo format between set anniversary box coming out, set 10 coming out, and then set 11's on the way, which hopefully we'll see some events post set 11, but there's not a whole lot of like anniversary format events.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer because I really like the anniversary box.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really get very much time with just set 10 format. I think it was just a couple weeks.
Yeah, because it got pushed back.
Yeah, and then anniversary box was here.
Mm-hmm.
But anniversary format, we have like a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out until, what, October?
I'm not totally sure, but I know it got pushed. Set 11 also got pushed back.
Yeah, I think it's October, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone in the comments can correct me if you have it pulled up or you pull it up or
Just
anything.
put whenever set 11 comes out. Nice. So third place finish, shop championships. I heard they were like condensing the format a little bit, the structure of the tournament. So instead of 4 8-man pods, it was 2 16-man pods with a top cut on a separate day.
Yeah, so since we had to do it online, that's what our store opted to do, was instead of 4 separate 8-mans, he's doing 2 weekends of up to 16 players.
Right. So that's pretty cool. Nice. Overall, a nice, fun weekend. Alrighty, well, we had some pretty exciting reveals this week with set 11 coming around the corner. And did you take a look at those, Tim? Have a chance to read some of the cards?
Yeah, I've lightly gone through them. I know the first couple of days they started coming out, I was looking a lot more at them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then it started getting closer to the weekend and the shop championship, so I kind of took a break from the spoilers and kind of focused on, honing in on my deck a little bit more.
Right.
Because Reboot Gohan was also a new experience for me. I've never played that leader before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spoilers were always a weird thing for me because, like, I don't really like to sit down and just read all the cards and see what they do because I'm not...
It's also kind of weird when they happen so far before the set is coming out.
That, as well as I kind of dislike when they reveal like half the red cards and then the other half of the red cards. I kind of wish they would stick to just
do the whole color and then the next color.
Yeah, and space it out like a week in between or something.
Yeah.
So you have a good amount of time to soak it in and think about it and all that stuff. And it would, because like reveal, I feel like especially with the content creators, there's a huge race for like if they reveal at, I think it's like 6 a.m. on Eastern time or something like that. So for us West Coasters, it's like 3 a.m. So
which kind of sucks, but at the same time, especially through quarantine and all that, a lot of people are up at that hour still.
Right. So either you see it and you read it while you're tired.
Yeah. And then you're like, damn, I got to make a video about this. And I'm, like within an hour of falling asleep. I don't know if I can do this.
Right. Or you wait till 8, 9 a.m. to wake up or whatever time you wake up.
And then you're just a little bit behind the game.
Right. And then all the top YouTubers and stuff already have their videos uploading.
The other half of the country.
Yeah. I mean, we have some Midwest and stuff. But, yeah. Maybe if they could just slow down the reveals a little bit.
Yeah, I think starting them a month before release,
and then just do 1 week per color.
Yeah.
So, well,
or maybe like
we have 5 colors. So
technically like 6 because if they do multis, but
right.
But you could do a whole week of black and multicolor together.
Yeah, and then just do like every 5 or 6 days.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. That would make it more streamlined.
Or do like, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, well, let's get into some of the cards. Did any of the cards stick out to you, like right off the bat?
Yeah, so I know the first day they revealed like a couple red cards and a couple green cards, including leaders.
I think that was when they revealed like Go Tanks and stuff.
Yeah. Um, that was probably like the most exciting reveal out of all of them for me. 'Cause I always love seeing leaders revealed because like, ooh, new toys. What do they do? What can I do with them?
Right.
I think most people can agree that Go Tanks, a new green Go Tanks, which I think the game needed because the old one is awful.
I used to give people PTSD about that with that leader back in the good days when you didn't have to draw cards to win.
Yeah. The really only thing I don't like about it, but maybe it was, made this way for balance, is that the ghost tokens you can make on the awakened side come in rest mode. Which is kind of strange. I think if it was going to be like that, maybe it should have been an activate battle. So you could do it on defense. That way you go to your turn and you can untap and attack with him.
So, I mean, let's see. The investment is... So on the backside, the leader, let's just go over it real quick. It says, permanent, your opponent's leader cards can't attack your battle cards. Auto, when this card attacks, draw a card. And then activate main once per turn. Pay a green, choose one, and it has two modes. One is choose one of your opponent's unison cards and remove a marker from it. The other one says you may choose one green card in your hand and discard it. If you do, play 2 ghost tokens in rest mode, which are 15k no combo power tokens.
Yeah.
So
immediately what sticks out on the second mode for me with it being a green leader is Draftbox Ribrian.
Right, yeah.
So if you have at least 3 energy, you can pay a green, activate main, discard the Ribrian. You get 2 ghost tokens, unfortunately, in rest mode. And then you can warp Ribrian from your drop for the other 2 green and make your opponent discard 2 cards.
Yeah. I think that's going
not
to be
a bad rate.
The de facto, card to discard.
I am glad that they made it a green card you have to discard. Otherwise, you'd just throw Saiyan Instincts into this too.
Right. However, it's not mono green, so it could be a multi.
That is true.
So if you're playing maybe like a blue-green deck or something, you can... I don't know what you would put in the drop, but something,
Yeah, maybe when we get more non-black battle cards that you can play from drop.
Yeah.
If they start to branch that into other colors.
Right.
If they do it in green, maybe that can interact well with this.
I think it's still a pretty good rate, because your opponent's leader can't attack it, so they have to attack it with their battle cards. And, that's essentially like a negate. Yeah.
But at the same time, am I really going to swing into ghost tokens when I can just swing at you?
No. But then they're staying, and on my next turn I get... So it's like an investment.
Yeah. It's a kind of a risk-reward thing. If I live till my next turn, I have 2 extra attacks. But I might have also just paid an energy for nothing.
Right. It's cool, though, because the leader does still draw, so this is just a bonus effect.
Yeah. Also, the art's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I think everyone loves Go Tanks. He's got a special place in my heart for sure.
Yeah,
so.
He's definitely one of my favorite characters. I've just always loved the entire Majin Buu arc from Dragon Ball Z. So Deborah, obviously Majin Buu, I love. Go Tanks, Majin Vegeta, all of that. Everything about that arc I've just always really liked.
Yeah.
SS3 had its debut.
Yep.
Lots of great things there.
Yep.
Speaking of Majin Vegeta, we have a leader for him now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, without the Majin tag.
We did have one before.
The Ultimate Box, I think?
It was a draft box.
It's
pretty trash.
Still didn't have the tag, though.
That's fair.
Which is weird. It's so prominently on his forehead in the arts. I don't know why you wouldn't just also make it a Majin tag. because it's really niche, but there are some cards that would be cool to include that you need a Majin leader for, or just to have it for it to be thematic.
Right.
This leader is kind of insane though.
Let's just read the whole thing.
Yeah, so it's a Vegeta and Bobbity. It has the Overlord skill, which is a new one for the set. It says, once per turn, place one of your battle cards with the Servant skill at the bottom of your deck and draw a card. And then an auto, when it attacks, you add one card from your life to your hand, draw a card, and it gets plus 5k, and double strike. So you get a Self-Awaken, draw a card, and now you're 15k double strike on your front side. That's on its own, like even without the Overlord stuff, that's insane.
Yeah, definitely.
The Awaken is also at 5 or less life, which is kind of nice. It's an untapped 2. And then backside, we still have that Overlord effect. And activate main once per turn. Again, add a life to your hand, draw a card, it gets plus 5 and double strike, but it's not on attack, it's just an activate main now. And then another activate main for 1 green. You may look at the bottom card of your deck. If it is a Vegeta card with an energy cost of 3 or less and the Servant skill, you may play it, otherwise return it to the bottom of your deck. So it's kind of cool. You can play a Vegeta with Servant, swing with it, and then activate your leader on the front side or back side to Overlord it to the bottom. And then for another green energy on your backside, you can just replay it.
Yeah. It's like, I think it was Grenzo from Magic.
Yeah,
where he plays the bottom deck.
Red-black one?
Yeah. Plays the bottom deck card. One thing to note that I'm noticing from the very beginning, on the backside of this Vegeta leader, he doesn't innately draw. I mean, he has a few ways to draw. They are conditional, though, but he doesn't just attack draw. Yeah. So you need to plan your drawing accordingly.
Which I think that's probably why they stapled Overlord onto the leader. Because it makes you want to play the Servant stuff so that you can draw. But also, since that activate main clause on the backside is to take a life and draw a card, you do Awaken at 5.
True. So you Awaken it at the...
So you have 4 life to... You have up to 4 life to play with for that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, the art's phenomenal.
It could be better. Just Majin. Everybody likes Majin. All right, so let's move. So those 2 leaders are pretty cool. I think they're pretty specific. But we have a couple of new unisons that are pretty good in my opinion. I don't think green needed much more in the terms of unisons, but these ones are good.
They seem to have the best unisons overall, I think.
Yeah.
The Dark Broly is kind of nuts.
Yeah. I know there was a post about this. I think... What's the effect? So let's just read it real quick. It's a 3 specified super rare unison.
It's a 20k double strike to start with.
20k double for 3. Not too bad. It says auto once per turn. When a marker is removed from this card by a skill, from any skill, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and discards it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of support in green in this set that specifically removes markers from your own unisons.
Okay.
To directly synergize with this.
Because there's not that many of those effects in the game. So then it has a +2 activate main as one of its quote-unquote loyalty effects or unison effects. It says you may choose 1 card from your hand and discard it. If you do, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand, discards it, then chooses 1 of their battle cards and KOs it. So you don't get to choose either of those. But you're discarding 1 to make them discard 1 as well as KO 1 of their cards.
Yeah, and again, this is in green, so You can just discard a Ribrianne, or
Saiyan Instincts.
it doesn't say you have to discard a green card, so you could discard Saiyan Instincts or anything you can get value from out of the drop.
I mean, you could play this in the Frieza starter deck and discard your Dodoria, play it. So that's another discard outlet, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than the Metacooler Unison.
Yeah. Although that thing does spam out a lot of attacks.
Yeah, it's not nowhere near on par, but it's another, what I like to call, discard outlet if you need a couple more Unisons for the deck.
Yeah.
Then it says ±0. Activate main. If your leader card is green, choose up to one of your opponent's Unison cards and remove a marker from it. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, so what immediately stands out to me about that effect is against green, if your opponent's Unison has 2 markers on it, you can ±0 put it down to 1, and that turns off their free counterplay.
Right. That's probably the best use of it. It also means if their Unison's at 3, this Broly Unison can potentially just kill it.
Yeah, that is true, because it's 20k double that they have to negate or block, and then you can just remove the last marker.
Yeah, so I think green's kind of shifting towards this Unison killer color, and they're going to specialize in that. So the other Unison that we got, which is pretty cool in my opinion, is the SS3 Vegito Peerless Warrior. He is 2 specified. Auto, once per turn, when you activate a Unison skill, draw a card. Then his +2 is choose all of your mono green battle cards. They gain revenge till the start of your next turn. So that's pretty cool. We're seeing a resurgence of revenge, which is one of my favorite mechanics, because I play Sen Shenron.
Yeah, there's been quite a few green, really cheap costed blockers printed the last couple products also.
So we have all our 1-drop blockers that you can give revenge to, or even things like a Deadly Defender. If you slam one down on like turn 3 or whatever,
yeah,
and it now has revenge, it's like, okay,
it's kind of like in some builds of Hachiyak where you'd slap down a Deadly Defender and then counterplay with Ultimate Blow,
right,
to give it revenge and +10.
Right. And then if you're also playing the Gotenks leader, the opponent's leader cannot attack your Deadly Defender, so they have to attack it with battle cards.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I feel like it's a little bit lame, though, because, well, it is a +2, so it makes up for what I'm about to say, but it doesn't, like, Deadly Defenders don't say you can't attack the Unison. So they could just kill your Unison. You still have all the revenge for till the next turn, but there's always that aspect of, oh yeah, I can just attack your Unison whenever I want to.
Yeah, I think if you're playing that Unison, you want to be playing blockers. You want to kind of take the Hachiyak approach to playing that Unison, where you have that, you play a Deadly Defender and a couple blockers. That way, you're essentially locking your opponent out of battle.
And then we do have the quote-unquote ultimate effect of it, which says -7 counters. If your leader card is mono green, look at your opponent's life.
That's the first time a card has had an effect to look at your opponent's life.
This is already pretty interesting. So you look at their life, you place 1 card from their life in their drop, so you cherry pick the best one. Then your opponent shuffles their life. Obviously they should. Then you choose 3. Then they choose 3 cards in their hand and discard them. So -7 to crit a life and ditch 3 cards. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Especially since there's other cards in the set and in the color that just add, 3, anywhere between like 2 and 4 counters to your own Unison.
Yeah. And when you activate one of the skills, you draw a card. So if you play that on
the Union skill?
Yeah, sorry. Not one of the loyalty skills. It's just when you Union.
So
but that's still cool.
It's perfect for Gotenks because you're going to be Union fusioning Gotenks like every turn.
Right. But I mean, there is a card later in the set that we'll talk about just after this that you were saying adds 3 counters. And so on turn 2, if you play this, you +2, you're at 4. Turn 3, you play that card, give it 3 counters. So now you're at 7, and then you can just ultimate right away on turn 3. That's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on with this set.
Were there any other green cards that you noticed that you wanted to talk about, Tim? That kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, there's just a couple I want to briefly touch on. So there's a couple of archetypes that they were trying to stick in with the Bobbity and Vegeta leader. One of them is the new green Majin Buu Xeno engine, which does start with a field card. It's a 1-drop. It says auto when you add cards from your life to your hand or place cards from your life in your drop area, so getting crit. Place the top card of your deck under this card. So it's kind of like the one from Red Broly, where whenever you took damage, you'd place the top card of your deck under it.
Okay.
And then an activate main, if your leader card is a green evil wizard Bobbity, which it would be, and you place this card and 4 cards under it into your drop area, you get to play 1 green Majin Buu with an energy cost of 3 from your deck or drop, and then shuffle your deck if you look through it.
Interesting.
So it's another one of like that green Broly engine, basically.
Mm-hmm. So then it starts your chain, and then you move up the chain, and our top of the chain is the 7-drop, I believe.
Yeah, it's a 7-drop Majin Buu Xeno. It's a 25k double duel that you can also, it's got an EX evolve onto a Majin Buu Xeno 5-drop.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you play 1 green Majin Buu with an energy cost of 3 from your drop area and add up to 1 Dark Dragon Ball from your drop area to your hand.
So the whole chain
it just restarts the chain again.
Yeah, it just kind of cycles. Nice.
Which is kind of cool. They kind of took the Black Majin Buu approach to that engine.
I wonder if you'll be able to run both in the same deck. Probably not.
Probably not, because these ones are all Xeno.
Right. That's still cool, though. It's like an update.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see if it makes any splashes or not. I do really like the art on the 7-drop, though. I kind of just... I like all of the Xeno arts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
where
they're pretty cool.
They've got the Dark Dragon Balls stuck into their chest and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That, and then the 4-drop Majin Vegeta SR, I also think is very good. So it's a 4-drop with Deflect and Triple Strike. And then it has Servant. And if your leader is mono green, when this card is played, you can remove 3 counters from up to one of your opponent's unisons.
That's pretty good.
So, I mean, that can kill a lot of unisons without even attacking it.
Yeah.
But also, which is kind of interesting, I just thought about, this could almost single-handedly take out a Zeno.
Yeah, because -3 and then triple strike.
Mm-hmm. Because normally, Zeno gets up to like 6 to 8 counters by turn 3 or 4 anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it's just not worth attacking into it. This thing could take it out on its own.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It does have Servant, though, which says this card gets +10 power and can't be switched to active mode during your charge phase.
Yeah, so it's a 30k attacker. And then you just, with the leader, you can overlord it to the bottom.
Yeah, it doesn't restand itself at the beginning of your turn. So you have to replay it, essentially, which is it's kind of cool. We'll see how that plays out.
It just helps kind of recycle your deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anything else for green you wanted to chat about, Tim, or stuck out to you?
I think the last one. So the last one that I saved was the negate for Gotenks, the Boo Boo Volleyball, which is kind of cool. It lets you get your fusion pieces back once you've used them. So it negates an attack, and then you get your 2 fusion pieces back from drop that you've used.
That's a lot of value in one card.
Yeah, especially for only 1 energy.
Right.
So a lot of utility with that one.
Nice.
And then the 6-drop Gotenks, which is a possible turn 1 play. Because its Union Fusion only costs 1 green.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. You can get, It's only a 19k, but it is also a potential turn 1 19k with crit.
Right. So that's, not bad. Just 1 mana investment is cool too.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, let's move on to red. And I think we should... Red's pretty interesting this set. They got some cool mechanics that are coming back. We've seen them a few times in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go over the leaders and the unisons real quick, and then we'll talk about the mechanic.
Sure. You want to start with the Broly?
Yeah, so the Broly says... He's a 10k on the front and says activate main once per turn, add 1 card to your life. Add 1 card from your life to your hand. Then this card gets crit for the turn, which is kind of reminiscent of the old red Broly leader who just had crit, but this one you get to take a life, which is cool. And then it says activate main, add up to 1 red extra card with an energy cost of 1 from your deck to your hand, shuffle your deck, then negate this skill for the game. I haven't brainstormed all of the possibilities, but that's pretty cool considering you can get, negates or just random red cards like a Transcendent Strike if you need to pop something.
Yeah, it's got a lot of utility to it. It's kind of unfortunate it's only once for the game, but that also seems to be a theme with most of the Broly leaders, where it has 1 effect to search your deck for something and then negate the skill for the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's been on a few Broly leaders. I don't really think there's a red extra card that's just like game ending though.
No, but they did print 3 new ones, so I'll read those real quick. The Planet Vampa, which is a field spell, says activate main once per turn. If your leader card is a red Broly BR, you can add 1 card from your life to your hand. Look at top 7 of your deck, play up to 1 red Broly BR, Paragus BR, Bob BR, or Golemite BR with 5,000 power or less from among them. Shuffle your deck. If you played a card, you have to discard a card. So, I don't know about that. I mean, it's a free play. It probably starts the chain or something. I haven't read all of it, but I guess that's kind of a synergistic thing. And then it also, there's a Birth of a Super Saiyan Warrior. Activate main if your leader is a Gogeta BR. So we're just going to skip that since we're not a Gogeta BR. And then the last one is Violent Rays. Counterattack if your leader card is red, negate the attack. You may choose 1 card in your hand, discard it. If you do one of the 2 things. Your opponent can't attack with battle cards with 20k power or more for the turn, or your opponent can't attack with unison cards with 20k power or more for the turn. So that's cool.
Yeah, it kind of gives you an out to unisons, which some of them have... they have the ability to just end a game because there's a lot of like double strike or dual attacks or triple, or even, I guess it wouldn't stop unisons in Vegito because they're usually small and then they pump them in battle. But I mean, it affects your anniversary box Vegeta, because that one is a base 20 with double strike. A lot of the ones we went over already today are at least 20k.
Yeah, so it's a little bit niche, but it's not a bad skill for red. And then the rest of the leader says awaken, life is at 4 or less, untap 2 energy, and then flip it over. The backside is 15k like a normal leader. And then he says permanent, if you have a red Broly BR card in play, this card gains crit. So he just has it permanently as long as you have the Broly chain in play. And then auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 card and he gets 5k for the battle. And then the other auto says choose 1 card in your hand and discard it when one of your red Broly BR cards is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill or it's just KO'd. Choose up to 1 red Broly BR with an energy cost of 4 or less in your hand and play it. So you can like restart your chain.
Another interesting thing about that is it doesn't say mono red.
So it could be the red-green one. That's kind of cool.
I think the 4-drop
green.
for that is green, so maybe not.
It could be. I mean, when it's removed, you can play one of the other ones.
Yeah, you can also play red-green and play the 5-drop green one and just evolve for, I think it's red-green-green.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility. I don't know if it's worth adding the color in, but it's something you can try to do.
Mm-hmm. It's also an auto, so I mean, I know some people are a little confused with how they format the new autos since like the early sets, but the way it works is it has auto, so that means it can be activated anytime essentially whenever the trigger condition's met, and then it's followed by cost, which says choose one card in your hand and discard it, colon, so that signifies the cost. And then the trigger condition is when one of your red Broly BR cards is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd. So you already know
when that happens,
you discard a card and replace it.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. You know, get to play things on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, they seem to be doing a lot of things with chains of cards where when, some part of it gets killed or the top end of it, just replay some other part of the chain.
Yeah. It was a really big problem when they introduced like the regular evolve mechanic and the EX evolve and stuff in the early days, where it was cool to run like, a 3-card chain, but if your opponent just popped it, it was like, oh cool, I invested all this deck space and time and getting this super cool boss monster thing, and they popped it with like one random card.
Yeah.
And so earlier in the game, people valued 1-card value cards over chains, but now I think Bandai's learning that chains
giving the chains a little bit of inevitability.
Yeah, and just like recyclable, So it's pretty cool. I like it. I like, sort of theme decks. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And the other red leader is a new Gogeta BR. I know you and I both had a good amount of experience with the first Gogeta BR, the red one.
Yeah.
You had a really good big tournament result with it.
Yeah, I got, it was like, I placed 5th in Swiss, only lost to the undefeated.
In the final round, right?
Yeah, I was just really tired.
That was a long day.
I should have won, but it didn't really matter at the end of the day. And then I lost in Top Cut, but that was red-green Gogeta BR. That was a pretty cool deck. And then I also played mono-red Gogeta BR at Nats 2019, and that was a lot of fun, just having like 13, 14, 15 cards in hand.
Yeah, that leader drew so many cards.
Right. And
it was kind of perfect for that format because it just turned off a lot of counterplays, which had very recently at that time been printed, and everybody was playing them.
I had about, I would say between the two tournaments, 10 to 15 players read my leader and not fully understand it, and then when I did the effect, they'd try to counterplay me afterwards, and I'd be like, nope, sorry, you can't do that.
The old counterplay format.
Sucks to suck, man. Anyways, so go ahead and read this card.
Yeah,
see how it is compared to the old one.
This one quite a bit different from the old one. So the auto on it is when it attacks, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck, and add up to 1 red extra card with an energy cost of 1 to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So kind of the same as that activate main on the Broly, except this is on an auto. This is actually a lot more similar to the Frieza Prison leader, where you're looking for red extra cards.
Not once per turn.
That is true.
I mean, sorry, once per game. It's not once per game.
Yeah. It also only searches for 1-drops, unlike the Frieza Frieza leader.
It does increase the auto win matchup between old green Broly starter, the Broly BR.
That is true.
Because you just search for a transcendent strike and pop their chain.
That was my very underrated tech when Set 6 came out. Because I know you remember I was on Red Gogeta.
Yeah, I think we both were.
Up until a couple days before celebrations when I had prize packed out the Boo Secret and took Prison and Dende.
Yeah.
I had exclusively been playing Gogeta BR and had not dropped a single game to Broly because I always mulliganed for Transcendent Strike.
Yeah, if you ever have issues with green Broly BR, the sort of like turn 2 kill chain, just call their bluff because turn 1 or turn 2 they probably don't have the full chain. They have to draw into it. So if you pop it,
Yeah, if you can kill the 1-drop
turn 1,
do it, because it forces them to have the 4 and the 6
just don't play any
by
battle
turn
cards.
2.
Don't play battle cards.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
But there's another auto which says when you activate a union skill, draw a card. So you it kind of gives you two different ways to go about the deck. You can either go with the extra card stuff, with like a lot of the 1-drop negates and things like that, or you can go with a union based deck. It has your typical 4 life or less awaken, untap 2, and flip. And you flip into a 15k double striker. Auto when it attacks, draw a card and gets +5 for the battle. I noticed they've been doing the power boost more regularly on leaders now when they attack.
I think it's kind of just a little bit of power creep, honestly.
Yeah, I know. I think one of the first ones they did it with was the video game Gogeta.
Yeah, they had it on the set 1 hit a while back. It just didn't draw, but they did have that +5.
Yeah, and then it kind of just wasn't around
They
after
changed
that for quite a while.
They changed to like this whole draw 2, ditch 1 thing, but then they realized that searching through your whole deck is a mistake.
Yeah.
And not really fair because, like I mentioned earlier with aggro and stuff, the higher the consistency of the deck, the more oppressive and broken it will be if it's tier 1. And so the easiest way to sort of regulate that is just decrease the consistency. So like Reboot Gohan can kill on turn 2, but it's not always going to kill on turn 2.
Yeah.
So
but I do like that. It allows you to attack into things better.
You can pressure battle cards and stuff.
This is actually really good for pressuring unisons because you attack in as a 20k double. So even the base 20k unisons, you're removing markers from.
Right.
And then it has that same auto as on the front side. Once per turn, when you activate a union skill, to draw a card.
Right. So I know earlier before we started recording, I was talking to you about a Super Friends concept in Dragon Ball, and you were saying how it's not probable because you can only have one unison in play at a time.
That's one of the only things that I disagreed with and disliked that Bandai did with the unisons was making it so you can only have one in play.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if I was able to play multiple unisons, that's not necessarily game-breaking.
They don't have combo power.
Yeah, don't have combo power. There's not... They don't have enough of like a game-ending effect most of the time to where if I have more than one of them in play, it's going to win me the game.
Yeah, they would just have had to reword some mechanics and say that it interacts with unisons.
Which is totally fine to do.
Right, like Revenge, in my opinion, should remove a counter.
That would make sense, yeah.
You know?
Because I know a couple of years ago in Magic, they had to go back and errata like thousands of cards. I think it was when Dominaria got printed. Because of they called it the Planeswalker redirecting rule. They had to go all the way back to the beginning, errata thousands of cards that were target creature or player, and errata them to say any target. So it'd be the same sort of thing as what you were describing for DPS.
Right. And I think, I mean, that would be kind of cool to do, just like from a logistics standpoint for Bandai, because then they'd have to hire someone to be on the like errata team, I guess you'd say. And that would, create more jobs, make the company bigger, and potentially grow the game.
Yeah, like it'd be a huge hassle up front doing it, but I think it would be better in the long run.
Yeah.
Because as it is right now, like unisons, they're in their own space on the field, which I also don't really like because it makes it even harder to interact with them.
Right.
So I don't know.
Anyways,
I think there's minor changes that could be made to the whole unison idea.
Yeah. Back to my Super Friends concept. Imagine this Gogeta leader. He draws on front and back whenever you do Union. Actually, I was thinking he might be decent because a lot of the red unisons are
There's a lot of Union fusions and Union Patars if you go back to like the red U6 stuff too.
right, and they're not too expensive.
Mm-mm.
Like if you have, especially the Gogeta BR stuff, you have the Vekus that are all free.
Yeah.
You could spend more time on playing unisons and like instead of focusing on ulting, you could just cycle them. Like play 1 for 2, do its plus, attack with it, then the next turn cycle it out.
Yeah, it just makes sure you draw 1 extra card every turn, since that auto is only once per turn. But it's still an extra card every turn.
For Union, yeah.
And an extra attack each time.
Yeah. I think it would be cool to have a deck that cycled its unisons instead of trying to ult with them.
Mm-hmm. Or, I don't know if this would be a good idea, but if unison stuff got changed, have a leader with like a permanent that gives your unisons 0-5 combo.
That would be interesting. Okay, so going to the first red unison that they have here is Gotank's Earth Shattering Might. He is a 15k 2 specified unison that says auto once per turn. When you activate a union skill, add a marker to this card. So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So that's already pretty cool.
It's also extremely on theme with the leader.
Right.
Kind of piggybacking on that just for a second before we go farther on to that one is that Birth of a Super Warrior, like you mentioned when you're going through the extra cards, which is for a red Gogeta BR leader. It lets you play or add to your hand up to 1 skillless Goku BR and Vegeta BR 1-drop from your deck or from your drop.
That's cool. So pay 1 and you said you play them or add them to your hand?
Yeah.
So you can either get them ready for Fusion or Patara or...
Yeah,
well, they don't... I don't think the thing... You can get them ready for Veku, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Or if for some reason you're playing Vegito stuff, you can play them.
Or even... well, I don't know if there's any Vegito BR guys, but...
oh, you're right.
Yeah, because they're BRs.
Maybe
I kind of hate that they did the BR thing.
Yeah, but, that one was kind of weird.
If you're doing like a skillless support for the 1-drop because they're 10k skillless.
That's true. You are also, for 1 energy, getting to play 2 10ks.
Right. So
which is a pretty good rate still.
Even if it's just combo power.
Yeah, so turn 1, if you're going second, that would give you 3 10k attacks.
Uh-huh. It does say skillless. Man, it would have been cool if they didn't put the skillless tag because you could have played the 2 1-drops which search top 3.
Yeah.
And then potentially like a...
That might have been a little insane,
It would have been like a pay 1, draw 4, essentially.
That might have... I don't think that would have been good for the format.
That would have been totally fine. Totally fine. That deck needs it. I mean, they're going to deck out anyways. So the unison abilities are +/-0, activate main, draw a card. So just pretty standard. And then -5, activate main. When this card gets plus 15,000 power, so making it a 30k, double strike and dual attack for the turn, which is, it's cool.
It's pretty strong.
It's a beater, a big boy. And then, so that's pretty cool. It's kind of a de facto value unison for red because a lot of their unisons were a little niche.
Yeah, they didn't get all the love that green got with just having generically good unisons.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the other one, which is Kale Savage Berserker. And
this one is interesting.
This one, just from first perception of the card, has a lot of text. So let's just dive right in. It's 1 specified, so you can play it on turn 1. Auto, when this card is played, look at the top 3 cards from your top deck, add up to 1 mono red Saiyan among them, and then put the rest at the bottom in any order. So that's pretty good. There's a whole bunch of Saiyans.
Yeah, it kind of just fuels your hand for your unions.
It's like looking down at the card, it says swap it. So swap, and then this card looks at top 3 for a Saiyan. It's almost like 2-drop Goten from original swap.
Oh yeah, kinda.
Sort of. So then auto, once per turn, when one of your red battle cards activates a swap, add a marker to this card. That's pretty cool. One thing to note about this card is it's naturally just a 5k, so
It doesn't attack very well.
It doesn't have anything.
Or defend.
It also has no skills to add power, so it's not really swinging.
Yeah, you have to play some of the new red stuff that adds markers to it.
Mm-hmm. And then our only activate main unison skill is a -7. Choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards. It gets -15 power for the turn, -15,000. Then choose up to one mono red battle card with an energy cost of 5 or less and swap skill in your hand and play it.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so that's synergizing with the Broly chain because there's a new swap chain.
It's an interesting unison. It is very, very niche to that deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I haven't really been a huge fan of the unisons that are extremely archetypes specific.
Mm-hmm. It would have been cool. I mean, you can't do the activate main with this concept that I'm thinking of, but the auto is kind of cool of the swap add a marker with like the old Frieza chain, the Frieza swap line.
Oh yeah. That would have been really cool.
It might be more efficient to run, like Clan Commander and the one drop.
Yeah. Or if the Kale didn't specify Saiyans, if it just said a battle card with swap.
Yeah, it would have been a cool unison.
That would have been
deck.
a lot better.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then
kind of piggybacking off of that unison is the top end of that Broly swap chain, the 6-drop. It's unique, critical, double strike, 35k. But the interesting part is it's auto. When you play it, if your leader is red, choose up to one of your red unison cards, add 2 markers to it. Then choose up to 3 cards in your opponent's hand and send them to the warp. At the end of your opponent's next turn, they add them back. So it's kind of like a new foreseeing hit, but for 1 more card. You also get to add markers to your unison, and you have a 35k double crit.
And you swap into it from the 5-drop, which is just swap 6 for 1 mana.
Yeah, so it's a much...
You do have to have 3 or more. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, and you have 4 more energy, so it has to be
on the 5-drop.
Yeah, you have to have it like later game.
Yeah, but still, I mean, foreseeing hit didn't come down until turn 4 at the earliest, anyways. So this is just a better card in that slot,
right?
For the deck, obviously.
That's quite interesting. One of the new things I liked in this set that they've revealed so far is the cycle of new super combos.
The pseudo Paraguses.
Yeah, so they gave one to each color so far. The red one is Raditz Saiyan Youth. It's just a super combo 0 for 0. So if you're like under a Fu Shrouded, it's not a 0/10 like some of the other ones. But it says if your leader is red, your life's at 4 or less, all your energy is red. Not mono red, so it just has to be at least red. When this card is used in a combo, it gets +10 for the battle, then discard a card. Choose 1 card in hand, put it at the bottom deck, draw 2. So, it's pretty cool. I mean, it gives extension to some of the colors that didn't have the super nice combos.
Yeah, it's also maybe a little bit better than... It's better and worse than Paragus. It's better because you don't have to warp a card from your hand, but it's worse because you have to remove a card from your hand before you draw.
And it does go to bottom deck, so...
So I guess it's kind of like a Hoy.
Yeah.
For every color.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, overall I liked red. I mean, I think, some of these new archetypes are going to be pretty solid.
I'm definitely excited to see blue and yellow.
Yeah.
I know you're excited for yellow, more Sin Shenron support.
It's kind of weird. I've always been like a red player in whatever game I play, but lately I've just been liking yellow because I don't know why. I think
it just seems to have a lot of inevitability in the format right now.
Right.
And survivability.
Yeah, and I really just don't like not winning because I didn't draw good.
Yeah.
So like being the aggressor, if you don't draw the right cards, you just lose.
And
so those decks are a little more passive, and it's like eventually I'll get there, and in the meantime I just have to play defense.
Yep. I'm very familiar with that, having played Hachiyak for quite a bit.
Yeah, the mill deck, the only mill deck in the format.
Yeah, Janemba could be making a comeback, because I think there's less people playing Vegex right now than, the last few weeks or month or so.
Yeah. I think Vegex is still one of the best decks.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that concludes our set 11 discussion. Is there anything else you were, something speculation, like a certain archetype you want to see in blue or yellow or even black or multi even? I don't know if they're doing multi, but we'll see about that.
I'm sure they'll put a little bit of multicolor support in it. I mean, they did for set 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple of cards.
Oh, man. What could they do for blue?
I think they said they were doing Hirudegarn.
Was that for this set? I know they're doing Hirudegarn stuff in the draft box. Because that's like the big creature thing. Mm-hmm. With like Selzino, Hirudegarn, Apes.
Yeah.
But maybe there's Hiru support in the set.
I don't know.
I don't quite remember from when they initially...
Yeah. We'll see.
Said some of the stuff they were doing. Definitely not Janemba support. They got the Unison from the anniversary box. That was all the extra support they needed. Mm-hmm. Which that Unison on its own is just very good.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more well-rounded ones. Sorry, I was watching the new
the trailer
for the Set 11. But yeah, I think it's a well-rounded Unison, unlike the...
It's just generically good.
Yeah, which blue needs in a sense, because they're usually pretty oriented around like ramp.
I think right now its best Unison before the Janemba was Zeno, which was just ramping an energy off the top of your deck. Is really all it does.
Yeah, which only is good in certain decks.
I don't know. I really didn't think about it too much.
For yellow, I'm looking here. Let's see. For blue, we have the baby stuff.
Oh, that's right. That's kind of weird that they're doing blue.
And for yellow, we get...
Shadow Dragons and...
It looks like...
something else.
Garlic, maybe?
Yeah, that's right. They're doing Garlic Jr. and Shadow Dragons.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I'm excited to see what they do with the Garlic Jr. stuff.
Yeah,
it's that and like Demon Clan.
Yeah, I used to play Garlic in Pansy, so that was pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
We'll see what they do. Alrighty, anything else for this episode, Tim?
I think that's about it. I'm also planning on myself streaming more Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. It was actually a lot of fun, more than I thought I would have just streaming a card game.
Yeah.
So just a quick plug for my stream if you'd like to come and watch or support with some of our limited but new merch that we have put up. It's Twitch TV/The Prodigal.
Yep.
And our merch store is also linked through my Twitch right now until we find a more permanent merch shop to use.
Yep, on the Streamlabs link.
Yeah.
So go check it out. Buy a shirt or a hoodie. I think we have on there.
We've got t-shirts in a few colors, hoodies, and then the 3/4 sleeve baseball style tees also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So go buy a shirt. It's one of the easiest ways to support and even spread the game because people were going to ask questions.
Yep.
And yeah. Anyways, this is the Sideboard checking out. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week.
All right. See ya.
Bye. What's going on, guys? Sideboard Podcasts. Caleb here, just covering a event this weekend. We have a 32-man bracket by Marcus Cantarsi for his stream, Emperor Couscous at twitch.tv. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. Tuesday through Friday, Dragon Ball Super stream. Really nice. Anyways, it's going to be a $40 entry, winner take all $1,000. It's going to be a precursor to the Daylon Mac Tournament of Power 2, so check it out. Top 32 players. Let's get it.